and welcome to this Leadership Levels lecture from Anindita Mookerjee Sinha, who is currently the head of corporate communication at one of the great infrastructure marvels of this country, and that is L&T Metro Rail in Hyderabad. And just before we begin, let me have the formal welcome to you, ma'am, and also let me also have the pleasure of introducing our guest of honor to all of you. And she comes with a very illustrious career of 22 years of amazing career. And trust me, she has just had 5 different assignments. And to start with, she started her career as a business development officer at Yatri Travels, where she was there for 2 years. And then after that, it was all about infrastructure. I think one of you should ask some interesting question about how she was there as a great fit there. And next one was between August 1993 to October 2006. That's for 13 glorious years. She was senior superintendent operations at the Airports Authority of India. And after that, she was there with Mumbai International Airport, popularly called as Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport, as the manager of corporate communications, media relations, internal communication, and employee engagement, which happens to be today's topic also. And she was the manager of corporate communication. After that, she was head of corporate communication at GMR Hyderabad International Airport between September 2011 and April 2018. And from 2018 onwards, she is in the current role, that is head of corporate communication at L&T Metro Rail Hyderabad. And also, and if those of you have seen her profile, it reads very long, especially in terms of her other activities that she takes up. Few nuggets of the other activities that she takes up is that she is the chair of CIA's Telangana's Tourism and Cultural Committee. She is also the co-chair of ASSOCHAM's National Ease of Doing Business Council. And she also happens to be the co-chair for FICCI Smart Cities Infra and Real Estate Committee. And she's advisor board of studies for 2 different universities. One is an exclusive women university called Modi University. Other one is Adamas University in Calcutta. And she also happens to be the core team member for Society for Cyber Security Council, Hyderabad. And she has received lots and lots of awards, right? Almost on average, last 22 years, I think she has received at least 4 years on average. So you're talking about 80 plus, right, minimum. But just to give you 1 or 2 very prominent ones, in PRCA Global Hall of Fame Award in communication from the Chief Election Commissioner. And then she also the recipient of CIIWM Leadership Award for, again, communication. So we have a very illustrious career woman, and who has also has been wearing different hats in her illustrious career. And she's going to talk to us and share her experience with lots of anecdotal evidence on corporate communication, because corporate communication has different connotations for different people. I think, and therefore there are a lot of differences. I think you have in front of us a career woman who has been in this industry, who has been spearheading, and then who has been championing this kind of thing, especially during crisis. And that doesn't come so naturally, except someone who is gifted like Anindita. Wonderful to have you, ma'am. And then what we'll do is that for the benefit of everybody else, please do put all of your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box, so that once we have the lecture or we have the interaction with Anindita gets over, then we'll take up this question, and then we'll ensure that as many questions as possible will be taken up. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Chaudhary. It's really indeed very, very kind of you to introduce me in such a illustrious way. Well, I'm really humble. Yeah, everything is okay. Only thing is that my experience is a little more than 3 decades instead of 22 years. So, which means also that I'm heading towards retirement maybe in the next 1 decade. But thank you so much. And yes, it is indeed an opportunity. And I would wholeheartedly thank you for giving me that opportunity to address your audience, and especially for a brand like Times. Well, I will today speak on corporate communication or organizational communication, as you say, and it's very encouraging that so before that, all the questions, I would maybe require help, a moderator, someone who can read it out later, so that
Yes, ma'am.
I can keep track. Yeah,
Yeah,
he yes, whoever
I'll
is
do that. I'll do that
oh,
myself.
thank you, sir.
I'll
Thank you so much, sir. So it is very encouraging that corporate communication is taking a very frontline role, and in today's date, and irrespective of any business, any industry. Earlier, where there was a PR department, and especially I come from a PSU background. I started my career in a PSU, as you said. So all the government organizations also, they have understood the power of corporate communication, public relation, especially to engage with external and internal stakeholders, which is very encouraging for us, PR and Corpcom professionals. You just look around you, you will find all the now PSUs, they have an established department. Not only that, the government, all the parties, irrespective of their political affiliation, the educational institutes, everyone, they are having corporate relation or corporate communication professional, which is really very encouraging for us. But why do we need this? Because now communication goes out and inside the organization. It is disseminated, right? But what people have realized is, if it is structured, if it is strategic, if it is creative also to some extent, the effect or the impact it leaves on public at large, or whoever your target audience is, it becomes really, really, on a greater scale, and effective and successful. Uh, for that reason, most of the organizations, they have their Corpcom established team, and the person who's heading it, they not only give strategic advice to the management, but they train the professional also to be a spokesperson for the company. So because God forbid, whenever there is a crisis, that is the time you understand the importance of a proper professional, strategic, and a very appropriate communication, which can definitely helps you in sustaining your image that you have been building over the years. And yes, any image building exercise does not happen in one day, but over the years. So they have understood that during a crisis, if the communication is not proper, it can break your image instead of making it, especially during the crisis moment. Now, other than the crisis moment, what do you do? Okay, so what corporate communication does is, and trust me, it is a science. I'll just come to it. So what they do is, they basically create a Corpcom manual, create the SOP to adhere to when and as and when required, so that the entire organization is on the same page, and there they understand that only one spokesperson should be there to speak on that issue, whether it's crisis or not. Because what happens, too many channels, either they dilute the essence of it, or they can create confusion, or different people speaking different, expressing their mindset. It can really, really, get into a chaotic situation, I would say. So that is why now everyone has understood. Now, in this session, what I'll do, I'll definitely tell, come later, how corporate communication is effective for external and internal stakeholders. But before that, let me, my favorite subject, give you a just about communication. Okay, so basically, the art of communication is the language of leadership. And leadership establishes and carries a business forward or a brand forward. Any good orator, you will find the corporate honchos or the institution heads. They are very good communicators. Either they get trained, or definitely they are inborn at times. They are eloquent and they are very articulate about it. They are very good orators. So the art of communication is the language of leadership. So communication, we say as professionals, it is a blend of art and science, which means it is a blend of creativity and strategy. Why? As we know, art is the expression or application of one's creative skill and imagination. Okay. Now you would say, why do you need to apply your creative skill? Yes, the art, how you present for the communication to your stakeholders. There you need creativity. And why science? It is the intellectual and practical activity covering the systematic study of a subject. So communication is a subject that encompasses both art and science for inventive, resourceful, and methodical conclusion. Now, you need to be strategy. Now, when we write a press release, you can say, why do you need to be very creative about it? Creative is the art how you are pitching for it. Okay. Now, what is your pitch? What do you want the public at large or the media to pick from your communication? Okay, your external stakeholder or even your internal stakeholder, what do you exactly want them to pick from the communication? That is the pitch. So there is the art, how you frame it. Strategy, how you design the entire thing, like how the the subject or the header will be, how the subheader will be. Not only that, in the first paragraph, generally what we recommend is in the first paragraph itself, what you want to convey should be very, very clear. Okay, because nowadays people are busy, even media is busy, even public at large busy. That is the reason you will find mostly people read the headlines. They don't go into the analytical part of the news coverage. And at times they get into a perception which may not be true also. So you have to be very, very clear about how you are pitching it. Now, corporate communication or organization communication, we will speak about today. It is a set of activities involved in managing and orchestrating all internal and external communication, to whom aimed at creating a favorable point of view among all stakeholders on which the company depends to prosper or grow or be built as a credible entity or a brand. Now, under corporate communication, what are the verticals? Media relation and intelligence, branding and marketing communication. Some organization business development also comes under it. Advertising, then revenue generation, like some ATL and BTL activities, then leveraging asset of your rentals. Like for us, our department, we rent out our I'm from Metro Rail, as Dr. Chaudhary introduced me, my company. So all the stations, then our office spaces, the trains, we rent out for commercial shoots and we earn revenue. Then events and exhibitions, then awards and senior management profiling, then corporate presentations, then social and digital media, the most in thing in today's date. Okay, so be it the handling the ORM, the online reputation management, the search engine optimization, your website management, then so all social media handles, the blogs, podcasts, whether it's a radio or the TVCs, the TV commercials, or outdoor media, the OH platforms, whatever it is, generally it is dealt by the marketing or corporate communication. Then stakeholder management, it's very, very important, whether it's government or your whoever your external stakeholder is, how it depends on the business you are in. Then network and advocacy. Okay, relationship building with the industry bodies. Like Dr. Chaudhary said that I am, I was the co-chair for the ASSOCHAM's National Committee for Ease of Doing Business. I'm presently chairing the CII's Tourism and Culture Panel. Then FTCCI's, as he said, co-chair the Infra Committee and also the Women's Wing. So different industry bodies. Now, why do you need to maintain a good relationship or mark your presence there? Because they in a very big way, they they can influence the government or put forward to the government some policy changes as recommended, suggested, or wanted by different corporates or business houses. Okay, so that is industry relations. Then government and ministry relations, corporate relations and corporate affairs. Many organizations, corporate relation, corporate affairs, and corporate communication go hand in hand. Then, of course, investor relations, whichever the business is. So they definitely need investors. So all that maintaining the relationship, their meetings, like maybe some off sites with them and whatever it is. Then internal communication and employee engagement. So be it your, nowadays it is very mandatory to have POSH, okay, prevention for sexual harassment for women, IC committee, that communication awareness, intranet, e-zines, okay, because many people don't have the monthly newsletter in a printed copy. So the e-zines, they handle portals, intranet portals, then a newsletter, of course, which I said, then engagement activities with employees, keeping them productively engaged, then town halls, your communiques, then other senior management engagement, etc. Because nowadays you will find many corporates, they have an internal communication department or a person responsible for that separately. Why? Because they nowadays people have understood that employees are the biggest brand ambassadors for the company. What an employee can carry forward, maybe spending money over some advertisements or TVCs, may not happen. They are the people who will hold the fort very strong when need be. So keeping the employees productively engaged is very, very important. Then, of course, crisis communication. Any sort of crisis communication is dealt by corporate communication, with the help of other team safety. It depends what sort of crisis has come upon that company. So crisis communication is in a big way, it is very, very important, which is purely dealt by the corporate communication department. So basically, corporate communication is the reputation custodian for any company, any business. I'll quickly, tell you about the different types of communication. What we, as professional, we want people to understand and also learn and practice. Okay, so definitely verbal, non-verbal, written, and visual. Okay, these are the communication. Now, for skill set, what do you need for corporate communication? Because we say, if you just communicate, you can get by. If you communicate skillfully, you can work miracles. So writing skills, presentation and public skills, public speaking skills, research and critical thinking, technical skills, commuting with data, verbal communication, it will help in intrapersonal communication, okay, interpersonal communication, then small group communication, public communication. So verbal communication can be for supervisors, for team members, for clients, for presenters. It depends who the company is communicating and in what way. So corporate communication for its stakeholders, whether it's internal or stakeholders, design the entire thing and present. Now, non-verbal communication. We don't realize that 60 to 80% of our communications are non-verbal. As I am speaking to you, the way I am talking to you, the way I'm nodding my head, the way my hand movements are, the way my body language is, everything is part of this non-verbal communication, which while speaking, we don't realize that at times it can create a very positive effect on our image, or at times negative image. Sometimes people can find that we are not confident while speaking, where we are nervous while speaking, especially for students when they appear for their interview. Okay, that time the way they carry themselves, the way they, their demeanor is, the way they express themselves is very, very important. And corporate communication, this non-verbal communication has different categories like facial expression, this body movement, which I said, kinesics, then paralanguage, conveying emotion, expressing, how, suppose I am speaking to you and you turn your face some other way, I understand that you're not even interested. How high we speak, how low we speak, whether our my speaking style, it is radiating confidence. All these are, it comes under paralanguage. Then physiological changes, physiological barriers of communication occur due to some physical condition, maybe, or of sender and receiver. Then proxemics. Proxemics is very, very important. It is study of the human use of space. In fact, Professor Edward T. Hall, he says that he has actually defined different, the distance between one individual to another. Okay, how your proximus or your distance between the two individuals can create an impact on your style of communication. So interpersonal distance, how intimate distance is, how personal distance, how social distance, how public distance, all vary. If you think over it, you can really find out. At home, you maintain a very closer distance with someone, maybe with your friends, it is very close, but when you go to your colleges or your institution or your office, the distance increases. So all these come under proxemics, which is interpersonal. Then written communication. Now, for any communication to stakeholders, whether internal or external, regardless of what kind of written communication you are using, be sure to write clearly, crisply, while using the appropriate level of formality. And written communication should have the clarity, the conciseness, crisp and short. No one has nowadays, writing pages to A4 pages, it really doesn't create that impact unless you're writing a legal deed or certain things like that. So official communication, unless it is a contract, which will definitely be longer, but it should have clarity, it should be concise, the tone and style should be very, very, one should be particular, grammar, typo, punctuation, editing, and picking the right dissemination channel. It's very important for written communication, whether it's a hand, your type letter, or it is a emailer, or whatever the medium is. So organization communication or communication, corporate communication, the bigger picture is the effective of your ness of your communication can have many different effects on your life also. We generally say that, that when do we communicate? If you really think about it, from the time you open your eyes in the morning, after your sleep, you start communicating. You communicate with yourself. Then you move out of the room, you communicate with your parents or your partner or your siblings. You move out, you communicate with your domestic help, driver, the auto rickshaw gentleman, then your bus conductor, the students go to their college, they start communicating with the fellow students, for working professionals, colleagues. So if you really think, starting from early morning when you wake up, you start communicating with yourself, and whole day you are on a mode of constant communication, and we go to sleep again by communicating to God and yourself again. Now, level of stress increases when communication goes wrong. Because, George Bernard Shaw once said that the biggest illusion about communication is that the illusion that it has taken place. We don't realize that we have already said something or behaved in a way through our body language or meant something which definitely was not warranted. Okay. or we said something which really it was liked by people, or it was commended. At times we don't realize, but if you really think, the level of stress can be decreased if our communication, we are a little particular about communication, irrespective of who you're communicating with. Okay, so relationship with others, your productivity, employee productivity increases, ability to meet your goals and achieve your dreams becomes easy. Mood management it becomes very easy. Then ability to solve problems. So these all are part of this effectiveness, effective communication. And if you do in that way, it definitely helps in building up a relationship or achieving the target what you want to. So method, mass, and audience, these things should be kept in mind always. Now we say that communication is your communication should be hot, which means honest, open, and two-way. So you are an effective communicator when you balance talking and listening, because it is always two ways. Okay, you listen and don't react. Okay, you respond and you don't react, both individually within a team. You leave judgments and biases behind. Communicate face to face as much as possible. To maintain the human touch, the emotional quotient. You practice empathy. You are mindful of body language. You communicate to reach the hearts and minds of stakeholders, no matter even if you are going officially about it, because you need to understand the person sitting at the other side of the table, or the company, or their demand or their requirement. And of course, you walk the talk. So all these, if you maintain, you are definitely an effective communicator. So communication definitely, it works for those who work at it. So as communication professional, we always recommend that one should practice communication, no matter, even if you're not in the field of corporate communication, because if it works for those who work at it. Okay, so it helps in your developing yourself as an individual, because your individual self and your professional self, okay, it supplements and complements each other. Your individual self has a manifestation on your professional self. You cannot completely cut both of them together, because the way you develop yourself, the way you prepare yourself, it definitely it takes you to a different professional level also. Okay. And assertiveness renders crisp communication. So this is also important, important to learn how to communicate it in a realistic way. Then you can, use real life examples, then avoid unnecessary jargons, convey your message concisely, find the right balance so that you are neither lost in the detail nor drawn away from the key messages. So all these different styles of communication can make you a very successful professional, because corporate communication is definitely an integral part of any business. Communication has a perception of being very simple. Many people think, what is so great about it? And corporate communication is often mistaken as just being a facilitating entity. You just say what you feel, and it's all straightened out. But the actual meaning of communication is lost in interpretation and translation. Interpretation is all one should be very, 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 very careful about. What we can, what we say can be misunderstood and can create tension and chaos. So it's all about interpretation. To understand interpretation and interpret the way it is required to. Okay, so communication strategy should be drawn out, being within the framework of the mission and vision of the company. Any communication, what should go out to its employees or to external stakeholders, because nowadays maximum focus is being given on creating a shared value amongst employees and also your external audience, your key stakeholders. Okay, so create that shared value this particular strategy, a very set strategy is very, very important. Of course, it has to be customized as the time demands or as that particular project or work demands. Okay. So without the power of communication to boost work environments, employees are most likely to decrease their productive level. And effective communication makes a brand and helps sustain it. It is very, very important. So we say communication should be creative yet relevant. It should not be so creative that the relevance goes away, moves away, and one has to think, okay, what is the thought, actually the concept behind. Then it should be with structured strategies, defined goals, engineering of consent, and finally a precise art form. Communication is a precise art form of beautiful scientific procedures resulting into one common objective, and which is an effective communication process, and which is an integral part of the business. And that is about the corporate communication, the subject. Now, corporate communication for effective stakeholder engagement. How do we do it? Okay, so corporate communication, whether if we define that, suppose for us, okay, now or many companies, who are your stakeholders? Okay, the internal stakeholders. Internal stakeholders are your employees for sure. Now, for your reporting manager, you are also a stakeholder. For you, your colleagues are your stakeholders. Your team is a stakeholder. Other departments are your stakeholders. From management to the employees, they are the internal stakeholders. So everyone working are internal stakeholders. Now, even at home, if you see, all are internal stakeholders. Okay, the moment you move out of a particular radius, then it becomes external stakeholders. Then at factories, some labor unions, suppliers, customers, business partners, investors, stakeholders, the local community, government authorities, okay, regulators, civic bodies, media. For corporate communication, very, very important stakeholder is media. Okay, so and if it's a B2C business, definitely the customers. Like for us, a very, very important, the most important stakeholders, one is government, and definitely the commuters who use metro. And as per your business, the stakeholder changes. So corporate communication helps businesses create a brand identity and maintains communication with the general public. Now, corporate communication team helps build that company image. Okay, so it is a business, it's a business strategic partner to keep the stakeholder engagement well-oiled within its vast range of communication tools. Now, how do we do the engagement? One thing we have to always keep in mind is consistently in engagement keeps a relationship on. Especially during the COVID, we have realized this. Hence, the focus is more on personal touch, personal touch, because now most of the companies, they are working still online, right? So a survey says that the human connect is somewhere going missing. Now, you can say that in office, why do we need that human connect? Definitely you need that human connect, because it's all about creating a shared value, which I said, emotional connect through your emotional intelligence. And once again, and definitely to create a culture. So a business becomes an organization through a culture. You will find many big companies, they are known for their negative culture. Okay, one would not, maybe they give very good money, but people might tell you, if you ask for a recommendation, that they have a very bad culture. They give money, but they have a very big bad culture. What do they exactly mean? The stakeholder respect for stakeholders is missing in that organization. Whereas like organizations like Tata, You say it's a Tata culture. People feel very good working in companies like Tata, L&T, many others, So that is very, very important. Is the process. So stakeholder engagement is the process by which companies communicate and get to know their stakeholders. You have to know the stakeholders pulse also, not only for business development, but also to create a very extended relationship, which can go a long way. After all, when you yourself become a credible entity, you also focus in getting stakeholders who have a credibility for yourself. So by getting to know them, companies are able to understand better what they want, when they want it, how engaged they are, and how the company's plans, the actions will affect their goals. Also, they can improve their communication and rethinking their strategies and operations, having long-term benefits such as brand reputation or first mover advantage. So nowadays, whenever corporate communication builds a brand for the company, they see how there's a brand resonance. It is very, very important. You cannot create just a brand and then not be consistent in taking it forward. That brand resonance should be there. Official definition of stakeholder engagement in business, according to Stakeholder Resource Associates, if we say, it is an engagement in an umbrella term that covers the full range of an organization's efforts to understand and involve stakeholders in its activities and decisions. That is very important. Engagement can help organizations meet tactical and strategic needs, ranging from gathering information and spotting trends that may impact their activities to improve transparency and building the trust of the individuals. Once you, completely, the external, your customer or your or client, either way, they are completely, you can create that sense of trust. You will find that maybe many business, like projects or business, which can be, it can go to some other agency, it can be restricted, or it can be controlled because of the relationship. Hence, you don't lose customers. Okay, so the long term, for the organization long term success and sparking the innovation and the organizational change needed to meet new challenges, opportunities, you definitely need to have a robust stakeholder engagement, irrespective of internal stakeholders or external stakeholders. Another official way of explaining stakeholder engagement in business, according to the Accountability 1000 Stakeholder Engagement Standard, it says stakeholder engagement is the process used by an organization to engage relevant stakeholders. Now, here they're giving a caveat that don't go and engage with everyone, but identify your stakeholders in a very judicious way, and then engage with them with a clear purpose to achieve agreed outcomes, which is very, very important. So stakeholder engagement is the process used by an organization to take the business forward, create a relationship, create brand ambassadors for themselves, with them, whether it's external and internal, where by word of mouth they speak good about the company and their credibility. And in business, it is all about credibility. Okay, and also create a common shared value amongst the stakeholders, internal or external. So how has this stakeholder engagement evolved? Now, Henry Lindbergh, he traces the roots of stakeholder engagement early in the in the 1900s, and in an interview, okay, of ED and CEO of the National Institute of Quality Improvement, Freeman, that business decisions separated from ethics could lead to dire consequences, and he began to look at integrating the ethics into organizational strategy. Because after all, end of the day, Nowadays, every company you will find ethics policy displayed there with the mission vision policies with them. So that is very important. So he says that leaders are inspired to create value and consider the needs of all stakeholders when they try to maintain relationship and have ongoing dialogue with everyone from suppliers to communities. Okay, in today's date, stakeholder engagement often is associated with corporate social responsibilities also. Okay, CSR is also, I mean, the stakeholder engagement also comes with that. For us, we do many stakeholder engagement programs which we take under the wing of CSR, whether it is giving some free your rides to a particular group, or some heavy discount, many other activities, but we take it under corporate social responsibility, where even on a barter system you can work. Necessarily you don't have to really spend money, because all companies, it is as per the company's profitability and your valuation that you need to spend that 2% of for CSR. So at times, for loss-making companies, what happens, they do on a barter basis. So basically it is under CSR and achieving the triple bottom line, which is social, environmental, and financial performance, by interacting with stakeholders to learn what social and environmental issues matter most to them. That is very important. Currently, engagement is also practiced by companies and organizations around the globe to create dialogue with stakeholders and to understand their specific needs and expectations. Now, what the political parties or the government do for them, we are very important stakeholders. The voters are very important stakeholders. So they keep on, continuing the dialogue on. So corporate communication and stakeholder engagement. Now, acknowledge that communication has become critical in connecting people and doing business today. We already discussed. It is an unfortunate reality that many companies still do not give sufficient recognition to communication as a business imperative. You will be surprised to know that even startups nowadays, okay, they are keeping one person at least, or maybe on a retainership, not even not as an employee, to handle their public relation activities, their corporate relation activities. Okay, because they also have their stakeholders, government, and etc., maybe bank, financial institutions. So whether companies find themselves in crisis with their reputation and stakeholder value at risk, or undergoing major change, all too often communication fall short. Corporates fall short in communicating and engaging directly with all their stakeholders. And the primary reason for this is what? As we know only too well, that communication is typically regarded as an operational function rather than a strategic management discipline. Companies who realize that it is a strategic management discipline and they honor this subject, they go way forward in building they're building their brand and sustaining themselves as a very credible entity. Generally, communication is considered a mere implementation tool for business strategy, but okay, time is changing. I would say that people have understood that. So things are changing in the new decades, especially with the advent of pandemic. Things are going fast transformation in terms of right communication and timely communication, because we have seen that in any business, especially people who deal with the social media and all, consistency in communication is very important. Okay, now building up a community around you is very important for a business. Now, how do you build up a community around you? Is through engagement and communication, communicating through for engagement, so that God forbid if any crisis happens, public at large, they understand that this is a brand. We don't we say that she or she's a brand, he's a brand, or they are a brand. So they are a brand. Crisis can happen. It can happen. Disaster can happen, but definitely they will pull themselves up and they will get going. So that is the effectiveness of communication on the stakeholders which you interact. In the last decade, especially in the last 2 years, we have seen a dramatic shift in how companies define value. Okay, it is very, very important in creating that value. So value-based communication is what we say. It is communication with a purpose is what we say, to keep the stakeholder engagement. Now, once you categorize your internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So for each, like suppose government is one of your stakeholders, your strategy should be in a particular way. Your communication module should be in a particular way. Your channel should be in a particular way. If it is your media, then it should have a different strategy. It cannot be an uniform strategy for everyone unless there is a commonality between that stakeholder. So whether it's institutional investors, consumers, whoever it is, they have to, in this new era of profit and purpose, and adopting a multi-stakeholder approach and reorienting focus on creating meaningful value engagement, one has to categorize the different stakeholders, especially external stakeholders, and then you customize and you create that model of communication. Now, for internal communication, as for employees, one has to be extremely particular about diversity and inclusion, irrespective of caste, community, gender. So the communication, when it goes out, it has to be very relevant for all the like caste, community, and gender. If they are in that way designed in your organization, it should not have a bias. It should not speak of a bias. It should not mean a bias. Okay, so for internal communication, that is something very, very important. And for external stakeholders, one has to see, suppose it is a government, it has to be a very, very government oriented. They have their own style of writing, that way of communication. Legal parlance, it has to be a very, very methodical legal way of presenting a document. If it is your customer, so customer, it becomes communication becomes little balance. It of course depends on what type of communication you're saying. If it is a TV commercial, advertisement, or a B2C business, it has to be a very, very crisp and direct language. If you too much, you or what to say, go on words and jargons and unnecessary ornamentation of language, then the essence goes away. So the communication needs to be lived consistently. The commitment needs to be lived consistently inside and outside a company, and it needs to be approached with the same strategic prioritization and rigorous measurement that we deliver when reporting to our investors. To that end, CEOs are increasingly turning to corporate affairs and communication leaders nowadays, okay, to help craft and articulate the company's mission and vision and values. As a role of corporations in society has evolved, so too has the role of the communication professionals in advising our or any company's C-suite leaders, C-suite co-leads, on ways to lead, inspire, engage through strategic internal and external communication and ongoing stakeholder management. So direct interaction with the government, it can happen. What the organization says publicly about itself, what others say about organization, more or less direct interaction with the organization, what the organization says publicly about itself, and what others say about the organization. So this more or less covers the perception management, and accordingly the stakeholder engagement happens to a company's reputation, to make it a sum total of its stakeholders' perceptions. Okay, so that is very important. And perceptions are formed by a particular persons or your senior management. It happens, whoever is leading the business, their own values, morals, ethics, as well as their experiences. Here what the corporate communication department has to ensure is to guide and advise the management that it has to be seen on a very larger perspective, a broader view, where personal perception don't overpower the perception of the government, of the organization as a whole, which has to be which has to go to the external stakeholders. Okay, that has to be very, very particular. And here comes the corporate communications role. They have to be a mentor. And organizations also, they are understanding, and they have to accept them as members. So they have to have the right mindset and make stakeholder engagement part of their culture. And for corporate communication professional, it is very essential that they time and again they revisit the stakeholder engagement policies, styles, and the ways, so that they become more integrated and they become more strategic. And if and where required, the changes can happen, and it can, you have to revisit the policies. That it depends on the time. Like this pandemic happened, no one was prepared for it, right? Now, if the companies had their earlier communication policies, they definitely revisited and changed because of the mode of working, the way of working, the business's condition, the loss which the company made, the loss of human lives, the employees. So that stakeholder engagement, especially during the pandemic, it has changed a lot. More human touch has come forward, more understandability has come forward, more any visuals. Nowadays people say that corporate communication is becoming so successful because of the emotional quotient involved with it. So as any which ways, we know that EQ has definitely taken an upper seat than IQ nowadays. It's important, but emotional quotient is all about more successful engagement, relationship building with the stakeholders by any company. There are no long-term benefits of relationship quotient, but promoting an association with stakeholders for public recognition, it is very, very important for any company. So knowing the stakeholders, first of all, as we said, then how to build positive reputation through them, through employees, that we have said. Second is understanding your stakeholders' need and expression, and make stakeholders engagement on ongoing practices. That is very important. Now, a few case studies I can give, like Indian Oil. As one of India's largest commercial enterprises, Indian Oil, they believe that an effective dialogue with stakeholders can enable them to drive innovation and deliver positive transformation. Now, it undertakes, the company, following activations like, employees, like they provide a diverse, inclusive, and rewarding working environment. They organize various trainings and development for internal stakeholders. Training and development and creating a succession planning is very, very important for any companies. Okay, and that can only happen through effective engagement. Then government and regulatory bodies, they have aligned their activities with the government initiatives such as Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So robust engagement happens. Then business partners, they, Indian Oil supports local employment through engagement with local contractors. They also undertake services from their business partners. Then community and society, they are very involved, which we spoke about, CSR. They do, they generate economic value that uplifts the community by addressing its needs and challenges. They work towards minimizing their environmental footprint. Environment and sustainability has become very, very important in today's date. And it's even more important for corporate communication people to convey and disseminate that information to people, to reach out to people, telling about good work they do, it is not only for building up a brand, but to create others conscious and aware, and they come forward thinking they so and so is such a big company, they are doing this, and we also should work on whether it's solar or water conservation, saving on carbon footprint, anything, healthcare, sanitation. So Indian Oil does a lot. ITC, it has a diversified presence across industries such as FMCG, hotels, we know, software, infotech, whatever it is. But and their unique employee value proposition is backed by strong corporate equity enabled sustained engagement in challenging times, particularly during this pandemic. Each business focuses on engaging employees through communication, meetings, mentoring. It's very important. Then as farmers being they are important value chain partner for ITC, so they continue to engage with them. So see how they are reaching out to the external stakeholders, and they have categorized as their customers are, and they have they have co-created the Chopal initiative with farmers. Okay, so they have used the platforms also. Then e-choppers managed by trained farmers. They help in the community activities related to agriculture. So ITC does beautiful things. Then of course for the agri business they do a lot of things. Then it also interacts through industry bodies and various other forums with government regulatory entities. Then we can talk about Tata Power, as we know that they are the largest integrated power company. So they are connected to the environment and communities for its operations. Then they follow some of the practices with the investors. They schedule regular investor meets, quarterly result calls. Then satisfaction survey. For another very, very important part of stakeholder management is feedback. It is comments, complaints, and compliments. These 3 C's are very, very important for any external stakeholder management. Unless you take feedback and work on feedback and open to feedback, you cannot maintain a very healthy relationship, and you cannot improve from your current state of whether it's quality or performance or whatever it is, your progress, your profitability. Unless you get feedback and work on them, you cannot. So those 3 C's, these companies, they are very particular about. Even when I used to work for airport, the prime focus used to be, even for our this metro, the 3 C's: comments, compliments, and complaints. It's very, very important. Okay. In fact, Tata Power, they regularly update media. When I used to work for airport, we used to do regular, since they were a very important stakeholder for corporate communication, media. So media sessions, media classrooms, media visits to show them the airport, the changes happening at the airports. Tata Steel, they treat all their stakeholders as partners in long-term value creation. Okay, all the stakeholders, they treat as their partners. And they have a robust stakeholder engagement process to bring and nurture relationships, to bring in new relationships, new propositions, and nurture relationship. And that definitely helps them to improve their strategy development. So, and all these, if you see, these companies have moved ahead from just being a business to an organization. They have a larger role to play. They have a larger space where they are treading very successfully and happily. So even Tata Steel, they in, of course, their Jamshedpur and other axes, they do a lot of charitable work and like hospitals and free treatment, lot many. So they know how to who are the customers, like whether it's vendor, media, or even employees. They have their unique style of handling. Nestle also, they organize regular stakeholder meet, then annual survey. Of course, they have to do with their they are into B2C. These they all basically, they are if you see that whichever company, they have a very robust stakeholder engagement policy, they have turned out to be extremely successful. Okay, so common barriers that prevent organization from practicing effective stakeholder engagement can be assumptions. At times they become very they assume things that, oh, it's okay. That is not okay. One has to be very, very strategic, and it is the work of corporate communication department to ensure that it is not just some based on assumption the company works. Then complacency, that it's okay, the chalta hai attitude. So again, the corporate communication role comes to suggest to the strategic. In fact, many organization, the strategic officer and corporate communication officer, they are clubbed together nowadays. Okay, so corporate communication, see the variation and the how they're evolving from just being a channel, a person to just or a medium to send a press release. They have evolved in a vast way, in a very successful way. So they have they have clubbed with the strategic department, corporate relation affairs department. Then another very common barriers are exclusion. Okay, so only engaging those stakeholders who are supportive. Reaching out to critics is a scary proposition, people say, but critics sometimes have ideas that can improve an issue. Which is very, very important.
Anindita, if I can just we have almost about 40 questions.
Okay, okay. So I'll just sum up. And concession, of course, this is one of the very important thing. So another very important thing for corporate communication, I will not deliberate, but few points is creating meaningful connections. Then thought leadership, very, very important. Value-based messages, create forums, self-created. They have to customize and create forums. Staying connected. Then online portal storytelling is something very, very important in today's date for engagement, stakeholder engagement. Okay, every company has moved from just a communicator to a storyteller, because when you tell a story, you establish the credibility. You will find many TVCs nowadays, maybe it's a jewelry brand, but they are talking about girls' education. No relation, but they're doing it. So that brand resonance is there. So, respond, recover, and thrive. That is something very, very important. So, basically, what I can sum up is corporate communication. We know the role. Nowadays, the thrust definitely is on the digital platforms, but one has to be very, very particular, engaging with internal and external customers through digital portals, because if it can one message going, how trolls are happening, we have to be particular about the fake news. And through the social media, if handled well, we can build a community and trust, whatever the platforms are. Maybe nowadays we see that the YouTubes, the movie videos have it is more successful. So whatever it is, the thing what to remember is keep engaging, be consistent, customize, and be on the top of whatever affairs about that particular industry or business, so that you are knowing, you are aware. Awareness is very, very important, which is a very important tool for corporate communication to assess the market and accordingly react and respond to any business requirement or stakeholder requirement or customer requirement. I can take the questions now.
Thank you, Anindita. I think I know, given the number of questions that we have. Now, this is a question from Sanjeev Vishwanathan. And his question is, hello, ma'am. I have been into analyst, advisor, and industry relations as part of marketing and communications within the technology services industry for almost 12 plus years, working in large global and mid-sized organizations. And
Excellent.
I'm keen to understand what should be the steps I could take to use the experience and knowledge gained over the years and move into roles in corporate communication in other industries or sectors as well. Thank you, Sanjeev.
Okay, so you are working for which department? If you can just tell me.
He has been working with technology services industry for the last 12 years.
Okay, see, you are a technological person, so you moving, completely into corporate communication. I don't know how it will help your career go. Maybe there will be a little bit of disconnect. But let me tell you, whether it is technology, whether it is finance, whether it is human resource, communication is the only successful medium through which you can engage with your stakeholders. So, as you are already saying that you are working in a very successful, you are successful in your communication and you have engaged with all your stakeholders successfully, means itself that you are there already. You have done a wonderful job. Only thing is that you have to be a little scientific and strategic about your communication and learn the different modes and the channels of communication, so that you can, where you are, you can take yourself forward. Because unless we improve, we cannot succeed in life.
Very good. Thank you so much, Anand. The next question is from Tanay Pandey. And his question is, hello, ma'am. How can we manage internal and external stakeholders on the same page? Sometimes it becomes difficult to manage both on decision making. So is there any way where we can manage both of them effectively?
The only way to do is, as I said, you have to identify the customers. They are your customer. You have to take them as your customer. So as the customer's need be, when you go to buy something, you have your expectations, right? So take yourself to the other side of the table, and then you customize. And bringing both together, it is not required every time. It is because you, any which ways, employees, see, not all the employees can be interacting with the external stakeholders, right? There has to be different functions who are dealing with the external stakeholders. Now, for you, if you have to deal with both internal and external stakeholders, so the strategy should be different. The completely requirement and understanding of the requirement should be different, and accordingly your plan should be set. If it is internal stakeholders, you have to make them devise a strategy where they're productively engaged. You have to keep that intrapersonal relationship and interpersonal relationship. Teamwork is very, very important. Don't keep the cards very close to your chest, or in that way. If it is so basically productively engaged. And also, you, even if you're not in HR, you can do with your team also, in your team, through your intrapersonal relationship. Also, how you communicate, how you take forward, how you carry yourself, that is also part of communication. And with external stakeholders, I don't know about your business, but whoever is your external stakeholders, you have to categorize. As I said, I think maybe you have posed the question before I completed, so it's already I have spoken. And then accordingly, as per the requirement, you have to customize. Only thing is that the most important thing about communication is you have to continuously be updated with what is happening around, so that you are completely aware.
Thank you, Anindita. Next question is from Amit Mishra. And his question is, if requirement of customer in brackets is written OEM, a deadline is delayed because of a representative, and even now not considering his mistake and working to fill the gap and manipulating about the responsibility. What is the best way to communicate with him? That I can use to, I used to write a tough email with the escalation to his boss and other top bosses. Is this right?
Writing tough mail after how many sessions, I am not sure. If need be, you have to write tough mails, but it should be, you have to be very, very particular about the language and tonality and the pitch and the choice of words, because it's a formal communication, don't forget. Okay, so it can be a tough mail, but it has to be politically correct, and it cannot be a rude or shouting with exclamations and question marks and in bold. That is completely a wrong, way of writing a mail. Best way to solve is discussion. Call the person first, have one-on-one discussion, identify the issue, what he or she is facing. Maybe there is definitely an issue which you are not being able to understand, or maybe you are right, it can be either way. So bring the heads together. If not, escalate to the next level, go slow, one after the other, and ultimately then decide whether you can have the authority to write the mail. Definitely write, make it official, but you have to be very politically correct and official language.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question is from Balaji Nayaka, and his question is: different mediums are used for corporate communications. Which is the best one to impact effectively?
All are the best ways. You need to understand how you have to use it. If you're a B2C strong business, you can go for a TVC, you can go for outdoor media, you can go for social media buying activities, social media ads. It depends on how big is your business and how much budget you have, and who is your target audience. That you have to understand. If you have a regional customer base, no point in going national. You have to target the regional media, regional newspaper, social media. Like for us, you know what happened, we used to do a lot of national content and we were not getting traction. Then we did a survey, asked people, and we understood that people want more and more Telugu communication, and we changed and customized and struck a balance.
Very good. And this is a interesting, a very simple question, but her question is this question is from Jai Singha Banerjee, and her question is, ma'am, can you please suggest any book on corporate communication? Thank you, Jai Singha.
there are many books. I can maybe write it, send those books to Dr. Chaudhary. You can take it and he can say. Sure. There are many books, but I'll tell you my personal experience, or what I love. I love reading biopics. So instead of those management books, which you can get in abundance, and they're very effective, 7 ways of effective leadership and many others, but read the biopics, biography, watch some biopics. Mostly biographies are better, and learn and hear lot of TED Talks. It will definitely help you.
Sure, thank you. And the next question is from Sudeep Sir Sharma, and his question is: in today's remote working, how non-verbal communication can be displayed for effectiveness? As we have seen, many participants prefer to close their video, which may increase interpersonal distance. Thank you, Sudeep. Very interesting question.
See, well, I think whenever the session is there, you have to be very particular and be very vocal in saying that, suppose it's a class, okay, now at times, yes, there are genuine problem, because the bandwidth becomes a problem. So people switch on their video to save, to work on the bandwidth. But you have to be very clear about it, that the video should be on. If there is otherwise, I think we can't do really much. Even I have seen many official meetings, people keep their video off. It definitely, you're very right, it shows like how much interest you really have. Maybe you're doing something else, but ultimately I think if you make it very clear that you need to keep your video on, and suppose it's a team meeting happening, okay, the reporting manager can say, for us, I'm telling you, trust me, I many times say, okay, please keep your video on. So they're prepared, they're well dressed and whatever, if they're working from home. And also another reason is, after the session, always take a feedback whether they have understood. So then you will understand that whether they have really kept the video on off for genuine reason, or they were not interested.
Very good. Next question is from Kishore Agarwal, and his question is: if we show empathy, others feel we are ready to negotiate more. How do we handle that?
Showing empathy and showing sympathy is different. Okay, so empathy and human touch is very, very important in today's day. Now, how you convey and why they will take you as you are just, a different way of negotiation. It's up to you. First of all, you have to be very, very confident about your subject, what you're talking and what you want to put forward and what you want to negotiate. When you're sitting on the negotiation table, one thing, be very, very particular. Take yourself to the other side of the table and ask as many questions, pose as many questions as you want, what you think as a customer you would have asked. Okay, so be very, very well prepared. And this is one of the very effective tool for negotiation skills. One day, maybe for Dr. Chaudhary, I'll take a session on negotiation, effective negotiation skills. So, but one big important thing is go to the other side of a table and ask as many questions to yourself as you would have asked to that person.
This is a question from very interesting question from Girija Pati. And her question is how to deal with external stakeholders who are unskilled?
Unskilled, as in why you have to deal with them unskilled? Because if they're not skilled, why are they, first of all, you're doing a business with them? Because you need. And external stakeholders, I don't think you need to train them or to work on their skills, right? Because if you're I really am not getting you. If you meant that if someone is not well aware, then you can spread awareness, you can explain them. But skill set is something very individual, and what to say, it's for that particular individual, that external stakeholder. They have to develop a skill. As a business, if you are responsible for developing their skill, then you please do it through different sessions, to trainings, to learning and development, through different course you suggest, this sort of webinars you suggest, or ask them to hear some YouTube things. Or if it's a physical skill, then you have to recommend to your company that they or their company, or if you are responsible to your management, that their skill set has to be increased. Otherwise, the productivity is suffering and the business is suffering.
Thank you so much, Anindita. I think we'll take two more questions because of paucity of time. All right. The next question is from Pranjal Gupta, and his question is: in communication, the selection of communication channel is also of great significance and necessitates appropriate communication strategy. Request to give some elaborated examples on this aspect and their importance in current scenario.
Come again? I mean, for
in communication, the selection of communication channel is also great significance.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. See, nowadays, if you see all the newspaper houses, okay, now they have all gone online. If you see, they have the established print copies also, but mostly they have gone online. Now it is as per the necessity of that particular time. Now, if everything you are doing on work from home, your online sessions, you are not being able to meet physically, or even contracting COVID, maybe through whatever mediums. So the entire focus has gone into digital now. Different, whether it is the different this WebEx, Zoom. Necessary is the mother of invention. So many platforms are coming forward to keep people engaged. Different apps are coming. E-commerce has gone viral nowadays. Hardly people are going to the market to buy. Everything is on e-commerce, e-portals. So basically, the major transformation what has happened now is online and digitalization. That is, I think, the most relevant example in today's date, that people are finding each and every platform. Now, for very professional, for HR, LinkedIn is the most important for to post any news. The job portals for them. For us, for our B2C social media, like Facebook, through Facebook ads, then Insta Reels, Instagram, different mediums. Then so it is as per the business need that you need to choose your channel. But the main focus nowadays is digitalization, but the content should have that empathetic way and the human way, and should you have seen the recent, I don't want to go into detail, but the recent chaos and crisis what happened with Hyundai and all, the way they communicated. They also chose a channel, they communicated, but the completely the human touch and the empathy went missing. And see how they are, that whether it's KFC or your Pizza Hut or Hyundai, the way they are suffering, they're trolled, their image has gone down. So it all depends how you're choosing.
Thank you. And last question for today evening session, Anindita, is from Priya Trivedi. And her question is how to promote and manage communication in real estate and healthcare industry through sales staff.
How through sales staff? Well, the sales staff has to be properly trained when they're going to, suppose, healthcare. Okay, now who are there? They have to attend to maybe the hospitals, the doctors. So they have to be trained there. How they have to commit them, communicate with them. Then, of course, nowadays all the app-based communication has come. The sales are mostly happening through app-based for healthcare services, medicines, and other healthcare services. And other thing other than healthcare, what
real estate.
Real estate is going again. You see all the housing.coms and magic breaks and all that portals what you have. And of course, outdoor media for real estate still plays a very, very, very important role. So hoardings, sometimes some TV ads, but mostly social media, and of course the direct calls which through call centers people do the sales pitch. But yes, now the direct touch is gone, so you have to count more on the outdoor medias and the media, or OOH platforms and other digital platforms.
Thank you so much, Anindita. And once again, thank you from all of us and from all of our participants. Like I told you, all of our learners are from different programs and different IIMs or IITs, and they come with almost about any work experience ranging between 4 to or maybe about 18, 19 years of experience. And really appreciate your time for all of them, and look forward to hosting you maybe at a later and earliest convenient time of yours, so that we can engage you with you on a different topic and a different level altogether. Once again, thank you so much from all of us from Times of India's TSW and all of us at this team. Thank you so much. And also thank all the participants for your wonderful participation. And extremely sorry that we couldn't accommodate all of your questions because of positive time, because we've already we have overshot the time by 25 minutes. We have taken more time from ma'am. And once again, from all of you, on behalf of all of you, I thank Anindita, and then wishing you, ma'am, a great success and also continued success, I would say. Keep shaping and keep making the difference.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. If any really important questions are there, you can always send me. I'll text and send. And
Sure.
Let me promote Times, because you have invited me. So the person who had the question on real estate, go to the property page and put some ads for Times.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.